News with Alicia Krause.
And related to our late friend Charlie Kirk, of course, known from The Office, actor Rainn Wilson said that he has some Hollywood liberal friends that are currently celebrating his assassination.
Well, in a world where you try to be consistent, one should be celebrating the death of evil if one is being consistent.
Yeah.
Or, if somebody said, I had a neighbor who was an old man and I hated the guy's guts. And he rode me and he called Department of Building and Safety and he checked unsanitary living conditions on me. And my house was fine and renovated. Anyway, the whole point is when he died, I didn't shed a tear.
Yeah.
I didn't make posts on Facebook explaining that I was happy that
or saying all the horrible things that he said or ever did.
No, but I was not upset because I kept it pretty consistent. I did not like the guy. He was a bad person in my world. He did bad things to me. And if you then believe that that's who this person is, then it would make sense that you would celebrate the death of that person. I mean, there's sort of extremes,
I don't. Does faith component play into it, or does also like a political component? I mean, Don Jr. talked about at the funeral. He was like, there's one side that celebrates death and there's another side that doesn't, and we want to be on the side that doesn't celebrate it.
Well, they don't have a religion. Politics is their religion. So then you have a religion, and everybody who was at the Charlie Kirk Memorial has a religion, and so they're deeply religious. So if the devil died, then they would celebrate. But to the atheists, there are no devils. There's living devils. There's Trump and Kirk and Tucker Carlson, depending on what day it is, and Ben Shapiro, depending on what other day it is. And they just have the people they disagree with, but they don't have God or heaven or the rapture or anything. So this is their religion, which, by the way, is why they paint everything in a sort of religious text, evil.
Yes.
And meaning religious people, like you take all the Charlie Kirk people, the people who filled the stadium and the people who spoke. They don't like a lot of, they don't like Nancy Pelosi. But they don't really throw around the word evil. Yes. They just don't like her and they disagree with the policy and stuff. Because if you're religious, evil... Like
a dumb bee might be the meanest thing they say about her.
Right, because you need to use the word evil for real evil.
Yes.
Because there is actual evil. Having 2 walk-in size refrigerators filled with Haagen-Dazs double fudge does not make you evil.
Getting your hair done during COVID when everybody else was shut down.
Right, but that doesn't make you Stalin. That doesn't make you a person that digs mass graves and things like that. So I think there's a context that religious people have where they go, this is what evil is.
Yes.
And we will save our stuff for what is evil. And the guy shot Charlie Kirk is evil. So we'll call him evil and we'll call the ladies from The View dumb bitches. And that's where we'll take it. But
we're not broad stroking everybody on the left that we disagree with as evil.
Well, they claim to be religious, but they're not religious. And so
like Nancy Pelosi, who claims to be Catholic, but is
Nancy
super
Pelosi,
duper pro-abortion.
Yeah, and Biden and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're not. And neither is Hollywood. So then evil gets real blurry for them because they can think that if Hobby Lobby is not giving their female employees birth control, then they're evil. Meanwhile,
and the nuns who also wouldn't do the same thing that the Obama administration wanted to sue are also evil.
Right, but then they forget about the people in parts of Africa that are, Boko Haram or something, who's abducting young school-age girls and killing them. So my thing with evil is I don't like to toss it out that willy-nilly because I feel like it loses some of its impact. You know what I mean? If Nancy Pelosi's evil and mass murders are evil, then one of them's not evil or both of them aren't evil.
And when there is a danger. I'm not going to be that type of person that's like, well, where's it dangerous? That's not my vibe. But when the left is consistently saying those things over and over and over again. then it does fudge the lines a bit, because it's like, so then somebody should be killed for what they say?
Well,
then should they
here's an interesting thing, and I'll see if I can be a little bit profound here, because I had a thought today I had never thought about, which
sometimes you can be.
It can be. Okay. It's like when they call people racist, they don't believe that person's racist. They just throw stuff out all day, every day.
To try to win an argument that they have no factual evidence for.
They don't have enough dignity to realize that's kind of a horrible thing to say about somebody, and you should choose your words wisely, and you know this person wasn't that, but they don't care. So it's a dignity thing. But anyway, they call everyone's racist, and again, they don't believe it. So, we do this thing where it's like, oh, you got all these guys calling Trump Hitlerian and a dictator going into the election. Then they win the election, and they're having lunch with him at the White House, and then everyone goes, why would you have lunch with Hitler? Because they never believed he was Hitler. That's why they have love with Hitler. But these are been there, done that. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, 70-something-year-olds, 80-something. They've been around the block a zillion times, But
they know they have to kiss the ring.
Yeah, but they're not that corruptible in that they don't think he's Hitlerian. They don't think he's racist. They don't think he's socialist or he's a dictator. They say it, but they don't believe it. Now, here's what I'm getting to. Well, first off, if Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi actually thought Trump was Hitlerian or Hitler, then they should get themselves a briefcase bomb and go visit him in the Oval Office. That's what a patriot would do if you thought that's what it was. They don't think it.
Or actually unseat him in a constitutional manner, maybe create a military coup. There's lots of options.
Yeah, but
they haven't even pursued that. They did the whole impeachment
so what
thing,
I'm saying is it'd be Project Valkyrie or whatever that Tom Cruise movie was. The whole point is they don't believe it, is what I'm saying. They don't believe it. And I don't believe it, and you don't believe it, because we're older, we've been there, and we've done that, and that's fine. But what if I just grew up staring at screens and playing, first shooter video games and on all these dark corners of the web since I was 9, and now I'm 21. Well, then I might believe it. Because I used to say during COVID, they're scaring all the kids so they can crate train the kids, because you got to get hold of that pup young and crate train them early. And if you get hold of them early,
then they have to rely on you.
Yes, you can crate train them.
Yep.
And you go, hey, into the crate. And they just go run for the crate. You can't do it to old Adam Carolla. His brain, the cement on the sidewalk of Adam Carolla's brain dried a long time ago, and you can't put your initials in it, bitch.
There's a tree with roots growing up under.
Popped it up. Old woman fell, broke her hip last weekend. City still never got to it. It's been 4 years.
Gum is just pressed into the...
I like when the city puts spray paint on it, where it's like, look, we're not going to fix anything, but we will put some spray paint on it.
Make sure your walker doesn't hit this old broad.
So you can't get to me.
Yep.
I don't believe you that he is Hitler, but if all I did was play video games and sit online and go to deep corners of the web since age 10,
or if
and
you
now
were
I'm 21.
If you were in the Rainn Wilson, Mark Ruffalo, liberal Hollywood circles, those people ain't 21 that have been sitting on video games. They're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they're like calling the shots on the entertainment that the world is seeing.
But they don't believe it either.
Well, okay, so
they don't believe it like do you know moderately rich people live on the hillside of Malibu, but super rich Hollywood people all live along the coast, on the water in Malibu. I mean, you got to think about that stretch of Malibu, Carbon Beach and whatnot, Billionaires Beach. You walk up and down Pacific Coast Highway, people always go, oh, that's Leonardo DiCaprio's place. Like, I literally... a showbiz friend of mine lived next door to Leonardo DiCaprio's. Everything is, that's Barbara Streisand. All the wokest, all the most environmentalists, they're all vying to pay an extra $20 million to get 60 feet closer to the ocean, although they never stop talking about sea rising. So do they believe it? No, they do not.
Yep.
They do not believe it. And they don't believe Hitler either. But that doesn't mean you can't get dumb 15-year-olds to believe. That doesn't mean you can't get Greta Thunberg to believe it.
Oh, God.
All right, so we'll listen to the clip. Who is this? Mark
So this
Ruffalo?
is Mark Ruffalo's podcast, and Rainn Wilson was on the podcast over the weekend, and this is what he had to say.
With his ideas, shooting someone that we disagree with, even if they're vociferous and loud and out there, is so colossally wrong-headed. I spoke to a couple of, let's say, some liberal friends last night at an event, and they were like, you won't find me shedding any tears. And someone else was like, oh, well, it was a little bit of a kind of a good riddance thing. And it's like, guys, no.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I know.
We cannot think or talk that way.
Not at all.
That is not
It's
okay.
so dangerous, man. I mean, my first thought was, also we had another school shooting.
Yeah. Which totally got buried in the headlines.
Got buried in the headlines. Of course it would, though. And listen, I'm someone who, my brother was murdered. I lost my brother through gun violence, And so this is a real personal topic for me. There's no winning. We'll never win this way. There's no idea that if we cheer on our opponents being hurt or harmed in any way, that we win as a society. And we all lose. Like I know what his family is going through. Like I understand that on such a personal level. And it's a tragedy that not only the person who is killed experiences, but the entire family and community around that person.
I don't think Mark Ruffalo needs a podcast. This is not a guy who needs a podcast.
But even though I agree with you that he doesn't need a podcast, and I disagree with him 99.999% of the time, like his stances on Israel is just utter bullshit. I appreciate him saying this.
Well,
but it's so crazy that this has to be said.
The bar is so goddamn low now that a guy just speaking sense and being halfway
like, we're
human.
not okay with murder? You're not okay with murder? Oh, you're not okay with murder? And then we're cheering him on.
Now something
like,
we can agree on.
That, right?
Yeah. Anyway, not everyone needs a podcast. Mark doesn't need a podcast.
There's a lot of celebrities that have podcasts, though. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
They don't all need one. There are people who can talk and people who can think, and
sometimes it's not the same.
If your podcast, if you took an hour-long podcast of his and got rid of the air and the filler and the stuff that didn't need to be said, it could be 9 minutes.
So talk radio thing, when I was a producer, sometimes when you had a fill-in host, they would always request like a ton of guests and a ton of callers.
Right.
And the reason they request a ton of guests and a ton of callers is because they don't feel confident in their ability to fill 3 hours of radio.
Well, which is
actually 2 hours of radio once you take out the commercials and the break, all that stuff.
I talk through the commercials, so for me, it's a full 3 hours, babe. It's a skill, and it's an invisible skill, and people don't get it, and it's reps, and it's everything else, and it's no different than playing the piano or riding a unicycle or archery or something. Like, you've got to practice. Like,
I love how you just named a couple of things that you can do.
Archery, piano.
Unicycle.
No, I named things specifically that I can't do, but I can ride a unicycle. But no one would hand somebody a unicycle and go, off you go.
Yep.
You'd go, I never rode. Come on, hop on.
Do it. Anybody can do it.
You'd go, no, the guy's got to do it for a little while, or piano or archery.
Yep. It's a gift.
Well, no. I'm saying the opposite.
But
I'm saying it's not a gift. I think
it's both.
Well, look.
I think it's totally both. I think that, so I used to work for Hannity, and I used to produce his radio show, and Sean is unique in that he has the ability to do cable TV and a 3-hour radio show. And his original love was radio. You're unique in that you can do stand-up comedy and podcasting. There are people that are kick-ass stand-up comics, but they couldn't do a podcast every day.
I thank you. And I'm not really pushing back against both. I'm saying the reps part of it will make you proficient at it, but you don't get to Sean Hannity household name level without the gift and the reps. Back to archery. I could sit and hire an instructor who came to your home every day for an hour, and you could be okay, but you wouldn't be gifted like someone might be gifted, or a race car driver.
Yeah, I'm not going to be an Olympic archer.
Yeah, you could get around the track at a good pace on the car, but you wouldn't necessarily have that instinct, So yeah, reps are important, and we've all been on people's radio shows that just had reps, and they didn't have any ability, but the reps were enough to kind of keep the plate spinning. All right, anyway, Mark Ruffalo doesn't need a podcast. Here we go. What's our next story?
Our next story is kind of along the same lines of the importance of free speech. Angelina Jolie said that she doesn't recognize the United States while advocating for free speech at a film, the San Sebastian International Film Festival. I was just there. I saw them setting up for that.
I would say this. Here's one of the few times I could agree with Angelina Jolie.
Yep.
If she would walk through the San Fernando Valley, walk through Sunland, walk through Pacoima, walk through Canoga Park, look at all the signs in Spanish, listen to all the radio shows, see all the garbage and graffiti everywhere, and see everyone selling the dogs on the street and go, I don't recognize this country. I would go, you're right, bitch. I don't either. It looks more like Tijuana to me. But she would never say that. She would just talk about systemic oppression or totalitarian, whatever, but never impacts them.
I think she likes the international vibe. She says, quote, I have to say that I love my country and I don't at this time recognize my country. She told this to people at a press conference, specifically per The Hollywood Reporter on Sunday. I've always lived internationally. My family's international. Of course, I'm sure she's referring to her children who are adopted from, 4 different countries?
I'm guessing.
My life, my worldview is equal and united. Anything, anywhere that divides or limits personal expressions and freedoms for anyone, I think is very dangerous. I think these are such serious times that we have to be careful not to say things so casually. And she said that she was going to be careful about what she said at the press conference, which was really sad. And then she said, but these are very, very heavy times.
She doesn't need a podcast either.
Agree.
I'll decide. I would like to just...
You want a list? That'd be a fun game.
I want to issue badges like New York City used to do with taxis. Or liquor permits
like this
out here.
Celebrity deserves a podcast. This celebrity does not.
Tell
Let's play
me
that
why
game next time I'm here.
I, the poobah, the grand poobah of podcasters, you convince me why you deserve a podcast, and I will either issue you a badge or not.
I think I just want to toss out names, and then you can be like, yay or nay.
You know what, though? I'm going to be a little more even-handed.
Some people do it well. Some people who are actors and stuff, they obviously have the relationships. They can get you can get certain celebrities in here. That's interesting conversation that the American audience likes to see, like the behind the curtain, and they do it well. But then others do not do it well, and they're trying to copycat, and it just doesn't work.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name, but it's the woman who made the vagina candles. Should she have a podcast?
Gwyneth
Paltrow.
God, no.
I'd have to smell the candle and sleep on it.
Right.
Physically on. When I say on it, I mean on the candle.
We know.
I think I was trying. I hope I was being clear.
I got it.
A lot of people think I'm thinking about it when I say sleep on it. I mean actually on that candle,
but not with it.
She's very interesting. She's got.
I can't stand the sound of her voice.
Experience.
She's been there and she's done that. I would listen to her. She has to now come in and impress me before I issue her badge that lets her do podcasting.
You can talk to her about ski accidents and defeating the legal system.
She hit a guy on the slope. She sued. The guy sued her.
She won.
What I'd probably do with her is I'd go, I'm going to issue you a 6-month badge.
Oh.
And we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And if I don't like what I hear, then you'll get no badge.
Okay.
I will take the badge back. But let's just see how this goes.
All right.
Trial badge. But she could have. That's my whole point. I don't know. She could be out of this world. I don't want to say she's bad just because I would assume she's bad, but she might be super interesting.
So you'll give her a 6-month badge, but Angelina Jolie, you don't want to hear at all?
Well, she already said she had to be careful what she says.
Yeah, so that's not going to make for an interesting podcast.
That's a strike.
You need a little edge.
This might be a softball.
Okay.
Charlize Theron.
I hate Charlize Theron. Hate her. But I'll listen to what she has to say.
Don't you think you already know what she has to say?
Well, see, I think
a lot of these people don't have much to say because they're so used to saying things that have been written by other people.
Charlize Theron, I don't know if you guys are with her, Theron. I don't know if you're there. I file them under the Ilhan Omar heading in that. People who live here who hate this country bother me. But people who come here from shitty countries and thrive here who shit on this country bother me to a next level.
I get that.
Right?
Yeah.
And the people especially the people who have experienced all the fruits of this country while...
Like Mamdani.
Yes, while escaping someplace. Now, the worse your country... was, and the more you have here, the more I hate you. And she came from South Africa, and she got here. God, Trevor Noah does this too. He comes here from South Africa, and then he talks about what a racist piece of shit this country is. It drives me nuts. I don't want to get into that simple game of why don't you just go back? But I do think that just go fucking back. If your heart's in the Sudan or whatever the fuck it is, then just go enjoy your paradise that you fled from with your guys chasing you with machetes. But okay, she came here. She's a billionaire, has a life of Riley, adopts whomever she wants to adopt, and then goes on tirades explaining to us why there's certain places she won't bring her black kids because of this racist country we're living in, except for she never says the places. Just... And also,
she's never like Mobile, Alabama.
Well, and her kid statistically is going to get shot by a black kid, not by a white supremacist.
If they are in an unsafe neighborhood that BLM has told us shouldn't be policed.
Right. So and
joins a gang.
So, there's Ilhan Omar's at the top because her country was horrible and she's a millionaire now and all she does is shit on this country. But there is plenty of room for anybody. Again,
should Ilhan Omar have a podcast?
No, she shouldn't. Well, first off, she's not a great speaker.
I'd rather her spend her time on a podcast than her spend time like passing horrible legislation and radicalizing the Democratic Party anymore.
Or just on CNN. Okay. Homegrown sort of...
Homegrown ungratefulness is, I think, more so understandable because you have been, it's like the bourgeois terrorists. It's like you're in this little protective bubble and you like to think that you're a quote unquote freedom fighter and you have all of these first world privileges that you think are horrible and awful while you're living off of daddy's trust fund.
Yes.
I can kind of understand the psyche of that. So I agree wholeheartedly. But when it's someone else from another country that's come here and utilized our awesome system to grow themselves and to grow their bank accounts and to grow their fame, then they do that.
Especially if we literally saved your life because you fled here and it's just bash. Those are the worst for me.
Yep.
That's who I hate the worst. All right. What's the next one?
All right. Apparently misogyny knows no gender. Alex Wagner and Senator Joe Manchin discussed Kamala Harris's new book, apparently woke words and government shutdowns on Bill Maher over the weekend. We have a video of this.
No podcast for Alex Wagner, by the way.
You don't think the Republicans would vote for a woman?
I just think misogyny runs deeper and stronger than we like to imagine.
I'm not.
I think the country is ready for a change, Bill. And if it has a good woman and a good strong woman, I think every time I had to negotiate a bill, and I had female senators, I thought a better bill. The compassion they brought to it, the understanding they brought to it was different than what a man thinks. And they had so much more. So maybe
but then
no podcast.
Why are we so far behind most other countries in the world?
I don't know. White women keep giving elections to Donald Trump, so there's that reality too. It's not just we're talking about a binary here where it's men and women. That just misogyny knows no gender.
Oh, really?
Ugh.
By the way,
so bad.
So I like Nikki Haley. Probably going to get hit for that in comments, but put up a good female candidate, and I bet you white women in the country that care about national security and our bank accounts not going downhill and schools being better for our children would vote for that woman. But turns out Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton haven't been that. So stop trying to be like, vote for them because of their hoo-ha. How about we vote for the person that we think is going to be best for us, our business, and our families?
Speaking of hoo-ha, I'm going to need one of the Gwyneth Paltrow candles ordered up.
For the night.
Sleep on that tonight.
Got it.
So get that express ship.
You think you can Amazon Prime it?
I was thinking I spent the day and then the evening with Dave Rubin and Sage Steele. And in our world, in the projection world of the Democrats, like gay man, black woman of color.
Unless you're conservative.
But I realized as I met them and we hung out and then went out with their Sage's husband that night and everybody, and I took them out to dinner. I just thought, I never thought about their sexual proclivities or the color of their skin once the entire time, because I would just know Sage as Sage.
Yep.
And Dave is Dave. I don't, it makes no never mind. I know it sounds convenient. Guys like me are the guys they claim think about it the most and would never vote for.
Yeah, like you and Trump and the Bible Belt people.
And blah, blah, blah. I have zero interest. Dave Rubin, the second he starts giving me ideas, then he ceases to be a gay man and he's just a guy with ideas, And I don't know a person, first off, said this a million times, if this is their game, and it is their game, Gavin Newsom is 6'2" and he's white. I'm 6'2" and I'm white. We're approximately the same age. We're both heterosexuals and we're both born and bred in California. And I think he's a sociopathic, imbecile, dangerous nut job. I would never want him coming near the White House. He's dangerous to me because his ideas are so corrupt, but he doesn't even have his own ideas. He's a sociopathic fucking buffoon, and I would much rather have the blackest man I know, Larry Elder, as the governor of California. Why? Because his ideas are better. And I don't know.
And by the way, his ideas are better, not just for you, the 6'2" white man from Brentwood, Los Angeles, California, but his ideas are better, we think, and we have the proof to back it up, for every single American, including the minority ones.
Right. So it's so condescending and slimy and just kind of gross to constantly go, we couldn't. Hillary Clinton is a horribly flawed person, and Kamala Harris is wildly flawed. And they're both bad people with bad ideas. I would never
and really
want them
bad
to charge
communicators
anything.
too.
They're both really bad at getting their message across. Yes. On the other hand,
maybe women aren't misogynistic. We just have really good BS monitors.
I would take Hillary Clinton over Joe Biden. I mean, it'd be close, but I'd take Hillary Clinton over Joe Biden.
Especially after we saw how horrible he was.
But I would take Sage Steele over Mitt Romney. All right, so just knock it off. It's 2025.
Mitt Romney, also a 6'2" white guy. Actually, I don't know if he's that tall. I think he's over 6 feet, though.
He may be.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more?
We do have one more.
All right.
Okay, Jasmine Crockett. Up there with Ilhan Omar and AOC of ladies that we do not want to have a podcast.
Yeah, well, to be fair to Jasmine, she just lies. I mean, Ilhan believes it, but I think Jasmine just lies. She doesn't care. Whose podcast
I don't know. It's Jonathan Van Ness. He's one of the Queer Eye for the Straight guys.
Oh, okay.
Yep. How do you not know this? So he's one of the Queer Eye for the Straight guys. Do you know the premise of the show?
He's got Kenny G's hair, but maybe
his hair is actually kind of fabulous.
Maybe the G stands for gay.
Well, he is very gay.
Well, then that's Kenny G.
All
right.
Sometimes he cross dresses.
Okay.
He wears the heels and the dresses.
People's
and stuff.
hair bother me a lot, but all right. So,
wait, does my hair bother you today?
No. I am.
What, like, you don't like men with long hair?
Well, it's like almost that guy can't really decide.
I don't like I don't like people with lots of hair and lots of trouble hair.
Trouble hair?
Trouble hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a lobby of a fancy hotel over the weekend, and a family came in, and the three daughters, probably age 9 to 13, all just had massive cornrow, just piles of hair. And I just thought, that's a full-time job for all three of you. Like, you're spending an inordinate amount of time
on
dealing with this hair. And, you know, there's 24 hours in the day. I mean, there's only a certain amount, there's a finite amount of time you can spend on things.
But God gave them that hair. God, I don't think, gave Jonathan Van Ness this hair. He's working on this hair. So I think he's spending an inordinate amount of time on his hair to make it look
didn't
this
give
way.
anyone 3-foot-long braids.
No, that's true. But they genetically have different hair, and like using the cornrows is the way that they do their hair. Like, that's fine.
I'm saying they spend an inordinate amount of time on their hair, and I think it's a waste of time.
Do you know how much time white women spend on their hair? Other than this one right here? Because I don't fix it ever?
You couldn't spend more time than what these guys were spending on their hair, because that's a lot. Anyway, you disagree. Here we go. Although you don't know what I'm talking about, but anyway. Let's go
what
on.
ends up having people become criminally impacted really informs so much of what I do legislatively, right? So when people are like, oh, you know, crime is terrible, and yes, it is, right? Like, because when somebody goes out and commits a crime, they don't typically, you know, say, well, I'm a D or I'm an R, I'm an I. It's not like literally like, it's about, well, how do you fix it? How do you make communities safer? And I do think that I'm in a unique situation because I was having the conversations with people that were going out and committing crimes. And so I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different. Being a criminal.
All right, you can pause it here.
Yep.
Dawson's been around long enough to hear me. I've been yelling about this for a decade now. It's not the nut job, crackpot, stupid politician in your studio who's at fault. It's the head nodders. You do say. Like, they go, just
like what
because
she said was just so profound.
Just because I am a Pisces doesn't mean I act like a Pisces. Yeah. Okay. I hear. I've yelled about it all the time. That was all the idiots on CNN who are like, well, there's horse pace. No one went, hey, you know, you're misunderstanding this point, or there's a polite way to do it. You can go, that sounded confusing.
Yep.
Explain that.
Well, but
I want to hear his again. That's my favorite.
The part where she says, just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That's when he does the
Oh, wow. Powerful. I've never thought about that before.
I want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different.
So hold on.
Sounds like
you're
it's tasting
saying
soup.
Just because I'm a clown and I work at a circus doesn't make me a circus clown? You ready, Dawson? I want some knowing nods. All right, you ready? Just because I'm the dean of students at Colfax Elementary doesn't mean I'm the dean of students at Colfax Elementary. Well, I like that. That went up. That had a question mark to it.
That was a tell me more.
I want a knowing grunt.
Okay.
I want a knowing grunt. You know, in my world, one death is too many deaths when it comes to death. I dream of a world where everyone has a seat at the table of dignity.
Yeah.
And where no child gets left behind.
Heard that
You know,
one before.
she began by talking about what she does legislatively. I would argue that you've done the exact same amount legislatively.
Legislative work
Well, I don't know that she ever goes to work. All I do is see her on TV
on podcasts
shows and podcasts.
behind a
Co-author
podium
any
talking
bills.
about Governor Hot Wheels.
And it,
Oh, Governor Hot Wheels. I forgot about that.
Remember that? And then she said she didn't say it. And then there was video of her saying it.
I will,
It's like, own up to it.
I will say this. We are living in a world now where videotape of you doing or saying something doesn't mean that much.
Oh my God, my husband and I were talking about this last night, like with conspiracy theories, because of just AI and editing and all the talking heads, and it's like who can be trusted and who can't. It's real life Manchurian Candidate meets, I don't know, 1984 meets a lot of factors when you could make up something that you and I said and it could go viral. And then once the truth comes out, it's like the New York Times corrections that come out like a week later, and like a bajillion people see the first one, but then only 50,000 people see the second. It's kind of scary.
Well, the scary part is most of the sort of hoaxes or fake news or whatever we had to deal with all throughout COVID and before that, a lot of Russiagate stuff and that kind of stuff. It's all on video. They're self-imposed confusion about fine people on both sides or whatever. There's injecting bleach or something. You can watch the video on your phone.
Yeah.
But they're still moving forward with it. And then my favorite one is when someone is clearly joking, says somebody, or like you take,
like Trump was at the memorial service about hating his enemies, and he like was doing it for the laugh.
No, but
NPR and CNN run with, despite forgiveness from a mostly Christian audience, Donald Trump says he hates his enemies.
Well, the ones I like, yes, I like that one. I like Dictator Day One.
Yes.
Because in the same video, he goes, then I'm going back and I'm just going to do it to drill and get energy independent. It's the most interpretable thing on the planet. So now, I don't know what you call it when you willfully misinterpret things other people say, but that's a bad place to be in.
Dishonest, lack of character, dangerous.
As a journalist, it's not a good default setting.
Journalist.
As I would say.
Hi, Adam. I was frying bacon this morning and thinking about you. When it comes to sandwich moms, I'm wondering if you can take the sandwich making too far. For instance, I make the sourdough bread from scratch. I make the mayonnaise from scratch. I do layers of turkey, 2 types of cheese, grilled onions, bacon. Then at the end, I toast the sandwich in the pan so that the cheese melts everything together. There's always a pickle spear on the side. So my question for you is extreme sandwich mom just as bad as shitty sandwich mom or no sandwich mom? Would love to hear your thoughts. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Anything can take a turn toward the dark side, like there's women who work out too much, and you go, well, that sounds like you got a nice fit wife there, but she's a little too obsessed with it, there's like a sexual version of that. Anything to the extreme. If it is a negative, it's something I would have liked to take for a test ride for about 11 years.
Whoa.
From age 5 to 16.
Well, Ed Gein's mom's made him delicious sandwiches. Look what happened to him.
I saw that. There's a series on now with that. I'm tempted to watch that.
I read many books on the case, and wow.
Can I say, we may have a new leader in the shit sandwich clubhouse. I'm looking at you, Dawson, for a reason. I like to know where everyone's mom is in the sandwich department. Andrew's mom's a toasted bread mom. I'm going to see her in Philly coming up this weekend. But I got to chatting with our friend Izzy backstage at Kimmel's Club. Dawson's buddy, my buddy, come out, helps with the merch, so on and so forth. And he brought up the sandwich, and I know he's pretty, whitish trash, and he described the sandwich his mom made, which, now, remember, Dr. Drew, hold on. Michael Chiklis is the top of the sandwich list so far that his dad had a sandwich that he invented that was sold, named after him or something, and his mom made like fresh bread and stuff like that.
So he's number one with a bullet.
Michael Chiklis is the commish of sandwiches. And then Dr. Drew's at the bottom with the shit sandwich. I'm lower than him with no sandwich, but Izzy may have bumped Dr. Drew off in the shit sandwich department.
What's the sandwich?
I can't believe you spent that much time drinking with that man and you didn't find out what his sandwich was growing up.
Food would fuck with our buzz, so we don't need
well, talking about food's not going to soak up any alcohol. Last I checked.
It's a mental thing.
You're right. You're right. You even talk about a sandwich, you feel the buzz wearing off.
Exactly.
So he said he got white bread, American cheese, not grilled, just American cheese, white bread, and jelly.
That's disgusting.
I said I've never heard of that sandwich.
Child abuse calls Child Protective Services.
Like fucking shitty grape jelly on top of the cold American cheese on the white bread.
It makes perfect sense why Izzy never told me that before. That is a horrible experience.
He wanted me never to talk about on the air, but here we are.
And unusual.
Yeah, so now I got to drill down with Drew, because Drew is, he uses a little hyperbole. His shit sandwich may not have been as bad as Izzy's shit sandwich. Still can't beat my no sandwich, but Izzy's giving it a try with his shit sandwich, because that sounds horrible. And I don't know something less nutritious you could send your kid to school with. It's white bread, processed cheese, and the grape jelly back then was just corn syrup and purple dye number 7 and, horse hoof.
Sugar and trans fats. Perfect.
Yeah, and carbs. And empty carbs. When the carb is sticking to the roof of your mouth, it is empty, baby.
All the nutritional value has been bleached away in that Wonder Bread.
Right. All right. So maybe Izzy at the top of the pyramid.
I think so.
I think so too, man.
All right, what's going on in the news?
Well, in the news, you'll be surprised to know that Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a bipartisan bill to raise the salaries of California firefighters 9 months after the most expensive inferno in state history incinerated Los Angeles.
Well, first off, okay. Firefighters, and one of the reasons I want to be a firefighter is I learned the schedule, and they would tell me all the time. They'd go like, 3 days on, 4 days off, or something like that. And I go, what's 3 days on mean? It's like, well, you live at the firehouse. I was like, well, what do you do? Eat chili, play foosball, clean the fire truck, go out on calls. And I was like, that feels like, and then 4 days of off? You know what I mean? Firemen work, I don't know, look it up, LA County firefighter. But I would say firefighters work less than half the number of days in every month. So
sounds like 3 to 4. Yeah, that works out.
I mean, out of a 30-day month, they work 13 days or something like that. Now, I know everyone talks about danger and everything else. I like firemen. Also, firemen, I've been to a few firehouses. They're almost always in a good mood, which means they're not that stressed out. But let's see. So what's it say? So average working days per month for 30-day month is 10 days. 10. 10. Okay, I average 28 and a half working days out of a 30-day month. Now, I got an easy job, so I don't care. But you work 10 days out of a 30-day month, and then I cannot tell you, especially now that I'm old, when I see a fit 49-year-old dude now, these guys look like they could play college football. And I talk to these guys. I was at Thanksgiving a few years ago, and it's like there was like a dude, he was like 49 or something. I was like, what are you, fireman? Oh, how's that going? I'm going to retire next year. I'm like, you're fit, you're trim, you're healthy, young. Yeah, I'm retiring. I wait a year, I get full benefits and full pay. It's like, all right, you just retire. And by the way, you work 10 days. It's a pretty fucking good job in that department. I'll tell you.
On the other side of that, Ace, you got to admit that it'd be pretty traumatic in certain ways, pulling dead bodies out.
Yeah, we sign up for it.
It's a really hard job. Yeah,
I couldn't be. Paramedic is a different thing for me. And now that there's homeless people fucking dying everywhere, that's a different thing. And starting fires in the hill. But it's funny. Everybody who works in Hollywood, every executive, every producer, they all used to be lawyers. No one used to be a fireman because it's a good fucking job. Lawyers stressful and shitty, and they hate everybody, and they got an ulcer, and they can't stand what they become, kind of thing. I've never it'd be interesting to think what is I am telling you the number one job used to be a lawyer. That's why when you run into all these people like Mike August, you go, oh, Mike August, what do? Show business? You book shows, do live shows? Yeah, used to be a lawyer, though. Don't fuck with him. Everything's like used to be a lawyer. Used to be a lawyer. Lawyers, the number one, I've spent a ton of money, trained my ass off, went to a ton of school, passed the bar, and I'm not doing it anymore. So that's like the number one job. Doctor, there's a fair bit of doctor. There's a fair bit of used to be school teacher. A lot of used to teach history. Used to be a cop. There's fair amount of used to be a cop. Never hear the used to be a fireman because it's a good gig.
You just settle in and get that pension.
10 days. You average.
Chilean Dalmatians? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So my whole thing is, I don't know, and they get paid okay. And I don't need them to have a raise. But what I would say is, look, for the price of the bullet train that'll never be completed, we could have had aqueducts and a system and fire hydrants that worked and alert systems.
Could have paved over Merced.
We could have had planes that dropped the chemical retardant and everything. Like, why don't we just take money from somewhere and put it into the system? That's fine. Okay.
Next up, Trump says Diddy asked for a presidential pardon after receiving a 50-month sentence. And he calls him Puff Daddy.
Do we even know why Diddy, other than kind of being an asshole or being a douche or whatever, like this Mann Act thing, like somebody from Nevada, he brought a prostitute in from Vegas to Henderson to fuck his girlfriend. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's really, there's a Mann Act. I mean, shouldn't the Mann Act, which was originally, I don't know, look at the Mann Act, but basically, I think, the dominant black heavyweight Johnson, or was it Jim?
Jack Johnson?
Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Johnson. I think the Mann Act was like partially because of him.
Yeah, he was like bringing prostitutes all over the country with them.
Right. Okay. I love that brothers haven't really slowed their roll in all these years. You know what I mean? But as soon as Southwest Airlines came into our nation's conscience,
yeah,
we should have got rid of the Mann Act.
Yeah,
for $89, if you can fly the bitch in from Henderson. He used to drive these people. He'd throw them in the rumble seat of the Duesenberg or the Stutz Bearcat and drag people around from state to state. But if I'm on the fucking phone with my lady friend who lives in Henderson for tax purposes, and I just go, hey, Melinda, you think you can fly out and fuck my girlfriend and I'll watch or whatever it is, that's a Mann Act thing there?
Yeah,
that's not Jack Johnson. Yeah. The Mann Act's federal law criminalizing interstate, foreign, blah, blah, blah. Passed in 1910, the law was a response to early 19th century fears of industrialization, urbanization, immigration. Where's the Jack Johnson part of the Mann Act? The act is a response. Let's see if you can figure out Jack. Anyway, it was like put in place to bust successful black men. Yeah, and so maybe
it was used as intended.
There's precedent for this, but
it's also, okay, his team is arguing later on here we go. Jack Johnson was convicted in 1913 for violating the Mann Act, also known as the White Slave Traffic Act, the federal law prohibiting the transport of women across state lines for immoral purposes. Despite the law's stated goal combating prostitution and trafficking, the prosecution of the first black heavyweight champion was widely seen as racially motivated due to public outrage over his relationships with white women.
Yeah,
Johnson fled the country before his sentence, living in exile for several years before returning to the U.S. and serving his prison term. 2018, Donald Trump issued a posthumous pardon for Johnson, acknowledging the racially motivated injustice of his
so P Diddy was like, hey, remember he did for Jack Johnson? How about this brother right over here? So P Diddy's a bad dude, but I don't think you should go to prison for just being a horrible person. If we're going to bring up
breaking some laws.
Yeah, if you're going to bring up some charges, then bring up some charges. And this just didn't.
That's what his team plans on arguing at the appeal. I read that that the whole point of the sentence was they were trying to prosecute it or charge him with other crimes that didn't get found guilty on. So the judge is using his discretion.
On the other hand, 4 years, while it may suck, it's big picture. Diddy did okay.
Yeah.
And also, he's got time served, right? I mean, he's got a year worth of time served. Oh, Diddy saying white men like Trump need to be. Oh, we got Diddy. Uh-oh. Yeah, Diddy's not going to help his case here.
If this man is elected, we're not standing by no more getting killed. We're not scared of anybody standing up and standing by. We're on the verge of a race war.
It's not going to stand by. All right, well, Trump should let him rot in fucking prison in that case. All right.
By the way, so Jack Johnson got in trouble because he brought his own prostitute, one that he already had a relationship with across state lines, to his fight. So they used it. Yeah, it was definitely racially motivated in him. But he got a posthumous pardon. Guess who pardoned him?
Trump.
2018.
Yeah, well, he read that. But yeah. I wonder, fellas, I'll tell you what I like to do. Dawson, you go back and forth. You go to Vegas every once in a while. Sometimes you get a lady friend. When you're
depends on the price, but yeah.
When you're coming back from Vegas with your lady friend, you should go, I don't think we should travel in the same car. And then they go, why? And then you go, well, there's the Mann Act. And then they go, well, what's that for? Well, you can't take prostitutes across. And then they go, I'm not a prostitute. And you go, okay.
He dropped her off at Buffalo Bills.
Now, listen, not technically, yes, you're not technically a prostitute, but you've, definitely been with some dudes. And I just don't want to chance it. You understand? Yeah. And I'm just going to drop you off at Whiskey Pete's.
That's it.
You can thumb into North Hollywood.
Yeah, just thumb it from Terribles.
Yeah, I'll drop you off. They have 57 pumps, no waiting. Right. Speaking of pumping, you've done a lot of that. And again, what is a professional prostitute? What's an amateur prostitute? I don't want to find out. So I'm just going to drop you off at Whiskey Pete's. You thumb it to my place in North Hollywood, and no hard feelings. I'll see you in 7 hours.
Well, the ride home would be more peaceful.
All right, what else you got?
All right, I got that AI could wipe out 100 million U.S. jobs from nurses to truck drivers over the next decade, according to a report by Bernie Sanders. The analysis, ironically based on ChatGPT findings, found that new tech could erase jobs from a wide range of fields, including white and blue-collar jobs. 40% of registered nurses could lose their job, 47% of truck drivers, 64% of accountants, 65% of teaching assistants.
Hold on. Nurses in the 40s?
Nurses in the 40s, yeah.
Truck
47.
drivers in the 40s, too?
Yep.
And then teachers in the 60s. Yeah, listen. In a way, I like it because it forces a trade. It's like you got to think about a trade, man. If you got a young son or a daughter, you got to think about a trade because in all my trade experience, the distance we are from putting data in a computer and have it do the accounting or the tax burden for the following quarter or whatever, that it could figure out, that the self-driving cars, stuff like that go into the apartment building, demo out the kitchen, install, hang the drywall, tape and mud, put the tile down, grout the tile, install the new cabinets, install the plumbing. Like, we're 100 years away from that robot. We got robots and they go, that robot can dance and that robot can jog and stuff like that. But, the shit that these guys are doing, installing just something like a very basic part of plumbing would be installing a garbage disposal. That's kind of easy. DIY stuff. We're a long ways away from a robot being able to show up and install a garbage disposal, not to mention, roofing, and then also lots of sort of editorial decisions you have to make sort of there. It's not just all about move one thing to the next place. Speaking of that, and Andrew has a picture of it. I sent him an update. They are they are starting on one lot I've seen in Malibu. They're starting to do the caissons into the ground. And I went by and I looked at the length of the cage, the caisson cage, a round cage, probably 2 foot around. Well, it looks like Watts Towers or something. And if you go to the next picture, it's all rebar. I don't know why it's purple, but that shit is 6 stories. And it gets dropped into the ground, and it goes all the way down, all the way into the earth. Like, I don't know that people know. I think I sent you a couple of these, Andrew. I don't know that people know how far into the ground this shit goes.
Is that earthquake proof? That's the reason for this? I don't
This
understand.
is more with the water. I don't know. But
water,
if you look at this picture, you can go to adamcarolla.com. These are the cages that get dropped into the hole after the caisson drills into the earth. These things ain't 20 feet long.
No.
These things go off into the sunset. And by the way, they don't stick out of the earth. They go all the way in. So you got to drill all the way down.
And they drop this filled with concrete.
Yes, but here's the whole thing. Remember, Dawson, I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but remember the famous Joel McHale rant about him wanting a swimming pool?
Yes.
And I wanting my house built in 1929 with nothing.
Nothing.
The nothing rant. Now, if you can find the nothing rant, we'll accept it. But here's what I'm saying. Every house that's burnt down now, that was built there in the 40s and 50s, sat on telephone poles that got pounded 10 feet into the ground. Literally a telephone pole that was 11 inches around, made of wood, dipped in creosote, like dipped in tar, and then a pile driver just whacked it into the ground and whacked it into the ground 14 feet.
And we regulated ourselves into drilling to the center of the earth to dip caissons.
And then the house was built on top of those pylons, like the Malibu Pier. Wait a minute. Andrew, what year's the Malibu Pier? The Malibu Pier must be from the 40s or 50s. It's all just pylons pounded into the ground, out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Malibu Pier's been there for 65, 80 years. All right. So the point is, the point is this. They used to do it, and then they built the house in 1947. And in 2025, the house was fine. But then the fire took it. And now they go, you must build Hitler's bunker. And they go, but the house that was here before was on telephone poles that just got pounded into the ground. And they go, we're going to need 20 caissons all going 30 feet into bedrock. And those fucking things.
Yeah, who wrote this law? The rebar lobby?
When you stand under a 6-story building and you look up to a 6-story building, that's how far this stuff goes in. And by the way, that just gets you to the soil line. That gets you to the ground. You could, by the way, you could spend $3 million drilling, dropping yards and yards and yards of concrete pumped into everything, and you could put 20 of these things all around, all according to what the engineer wanted, blah blah blah. I could show up with a flathead shovel. You could have $2 million in this. I could show up with a flathead shovel and just shovel some sand over the top. The top looks like you took a trash can lid from a trash can and just put it on the ground. And you could walk up and go, well, they haven't started work here yet. Like you couldn't even see it. What it would take to move that house with those 70 feet into the ground with hundreds of yards of concrete. And by the way, they're all going to get tied together with these huge grade beams. I mean, you are talking indestructible. And my whole thing, here's my whole thing. Okay, you have to upgrade from the telephone poles. Malibu Pier, 1905. It's still there. It's all wood. There's no caissons. It's just wood in the ground, just like every one of these houses was just wood in the ground. So here's what I'm saying. Here's all I'm saying. You would like to upgrade. Okay, fine. We didn't have the technology back then. Now we do have the technology. We have the rebar. We have the caisson rigs. We can pump the concrete. What you're saying is reasonable. So you making this new structure 5 times stronger than the old structure, I'll abide by that. It's going to take extra time. It's going to cost money. But fine, we'll make it 5 times stronger. Or 10 times stronger. But you are building this 2,000 times stronger. 2,000 times. Yeah. I mean, the difference between a telephone pole being pounded into the sand 12 feet and 7-story caissons littered all over the place with grade beams and rebar and pumped concrete. It's insane. It is so overkill that you don't. And so what happens is people go, it's a safety first kind of. Yeah, it's a safety first, but someone has to pay for that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, meaning you could go, I want to build a house. And then someone could go, I want 4-foot thick concrete walls in my house. And you'd go, yeah, I don't want to pay for that. That's going to cost too much. It's not worth it. Do you understand? You're making a house that could defeat an atom bomb. Somebody is paying, and the city doesn't pay for it. So the city engineer just goes, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go. How far do you want to go into bedrock? 5 feet. Make it 25 feet. Because they're not the one who's there drilling it and doing it. It is, if this, by the way, this is just on a lot in Malibu. This is next to Grant Cardone's house. I was just walking last night and I saw it. And then I got up this morning and I went there to take a picture like an insane man. And I talked to the guys working the caisson rig. And by the way, it's not a fast process. You got to go down all the way down. Anyway, I talked to the guys and they were like, yeah, we're going about 70 feet, each one of these. I'm like, okay, you're going to have $3 million tied in to shit we can't see. I mean, they'll get the grade beams poured and stuff, but before the first 2x4 piece of plywood, the first building piece of material, just what's in the ground, you have millions of dollars into the ground.
I don't understand the benefit. Like,
here's the benefit
against earthquakes. I don't get it.
Bureaucrats.
Yeah, no, I know. Everybody needs a job.
Well, the benefit is this. I will never, if I'm the engineer, right, and you go, I want to engineer this thing. Could be a tool shed, and you go, it's just a 8x8 tool shed. We don't need more than a 2x4 roof rafter or ceiling joist. It's nothing, and I go, yeah, okay, make it a 2x10. And you go, oh, that's way over for what I need. It doesn't have a second story. And I go, yeah, let's make it a 2x10. And you go, but that's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take more time. Whatever. In my world, if it's 2x4s and somebody falls through the roof, I'm getting sued.
Yeah.
I'll just go 2x10 and then I'm covered.
Yeah.
So I'll go maximum and then I'll be covered. So that's what they do. They just go, you want to do caissons 20 feet into the ground? They go, yeah. They go, make it 80 feet.
And
they just walk away. They don't. Yeah. If they had to cut a check, they wouldn't do it.
I believe in La Jolla, there were some examples where they didn't get down into the bedrock and they didn't really secure the foundation to the cliffs, and I think some of those resulted in some major lawsuits a long time ago.
It can happen, but let's not forget every other house that burnt down was on telephone poles across from the 1905 telephone pole pier called the Malibu Pier, and now you got these cages, and it's going to be 200 grand a cage to drill it, drop it, form it, fill it with concrete, and that just gets you to the dirt. It literally just gets you to the dirt.
And then conversely, you have like no new regulations on fire retardant and new, you know what I mean?
You can frame it out of wood after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So 0 cents.
I don't know, but if somebody said, look, if you were in Nevada and you're on a flat lot and somebody said, I want to build a 2,000 square foot home here, because these houses are only going to be 1,800 feet, 2,000 square feet. They're not going to be that big. And he said, all right. And you go, how much? And you go, well, let's say the foundation, slab, footing, whatever, you're in for 75 grand or 100 grand or whatever. Then you can build the house for, $400 a square foot. But what if I said, it's going to be $3 million before you start building anything? There's going to be it's going to be $3 million buried in the ground before you start anything. That's the crazy part. So I didn't.
So it's like a nightclub. They're like charging $70 for a drink. That way they keep the pours out.
I just know it's city, it's bureaucracy. It only goes one way, and it gets crazier, and the engineering gets crazier, and it just goes deeper and bigger and stronger and more unnecessary. And I did it. I did it when I pulled a permit to build my super garage. I had to I don't know if you have that, but I had to do the caissons there.
I got the famous nothing.
Well, okay.
Yes, if you want to do any building in this goddamn city, especially if it's up in the hills, you must either build the Hoover Dam
Hold
or
on.
Hitler's.
This is like 18 years ago, by the way. This is me 18 years ago ringing the bell. Go ahead, sir.
Hide behind the veil of safety. Hey, just playing it safe. Hey, better safe than sorry. Hey, we're an earthquake country. My house was built in 1929. It has no reinforced concrete, no plywood, because plywood wasn't invented, no Simpson straps, no HDs, no hold downs, no all thread, no J bolts, no nothing. Nothing. They had some poor Irish guy, poor foundation, and they set a house on it. That was it. There was no straps and no Tico clips and no 835s and no continuous shear wall and no moments and no nothing. No nailing schedule, no inspector, no nothing. Now, nothing. Now, that house was built in 1929, and you know where it is today? Right the F where it was put. By all the dead people with no hold downs and no rebar and no bunkers and no straps and no nothing. Why? It's an earthquake country! It's an earthquake country! Now, what do you think the house did, you retards? Did it sprout legs and run to Montana every time there was an earthquake and then hustle back and land on its foundation?
By the way, this is it's set at about 8:20 on a nice August morning in 2006.
Years, no pylons, no grade beams, no retaining walls, nothing! I don't know what we're yelling about! 80 goddamn years through every goddamn earthquake this city could put up, and it has moved not an inch. But yet, when I add a garage onto the back of the house, it has to withstand an oil tanker running aground and plowing into the side of it. Why? Because the structure that I build new can't be twice as strong as the existing house, can't be 10 times as strong, can't be 1,000 times as strong. It must be 1,000,000 times as strong as the structure that it's next to. Well, first off, what do you think? Where do you think me and the kids are going to be when the next big one hits? In the garage? Hey, kids, we moved your cribs out to the garage so we can withstand a nuclear attack. Listen, you idiots, make the goddamn thing stronger than the existing structure, not 1,000,000 times stronger.
All right, that went on for another 10 minutes. Screaming nothing.
I recall.
It's literally like saying, look, we got a new car and it's a little bit safer. And you go, what's it got? It crumple zones and airbag? No, it's got a full roll cage and fire suppression system, and it's a Kevlar tub, and then you have to wear a 6-way harness. It's like, My grandpa's Buick worked fine.
Need tank treads on that Buick.
I'm going to keep going over there and checking those. I'm going to find out how many yards they got to pump in every one of those holes. It is such
what's the path
colossal
to like
overkill.
deregulation? Would it have to be a complete regime change, get Newsom out of there?
So you got to convince. You have to convince dumb chicks that less safe is better.
All right.
Number
Good
one.
luck. Good luck explaining that to Kate Porter.
Right. The same bitches who shut schools down for 2 years because of school safety and teacher safety. And, well, okay, so your kid's healthy, but what if he gets it and brings it home? Because we all live with our grandparents, don't you know? Because it's like Italy in 1939 here in Southern California. You're going to have to convince one of those bitches that we should make it less safe, that we should go in a less safety direction, even though basically what you're saying is go to 1,000 times overbuilt. Can we just go to 500 times overbuilt? Right. But they would never go. So we're going less safety, which optically they don't like.
No.
We're going with, hey, the rich guy cutting the checks is getting gouged. So it's Rich Whitey wants a break and less safety. That's strike 1 and 2 for those bitches. It's not like they ever cut a check. They just tell you to cut a check. And it would also get them to have to understand some like basic engineering and some basic economics and some basic decency. And that's how the
it's a bridge too far.
Right. They're the people that blame Toyota for catalytic converter theft. So they're not clear. You have to convince them, and then something on the Coastal Commission, and it's a bunch of angry bitches who are, by the way, pissed at rich people who are building on the coast.
Well, if you could reframe it as like a housing crisis solution to bring the regulations down, I think that could win some voters.
Yeah, if I told them my transitioning mixed race son/daughter wept openly because of the depth of these caissons, then maybe I could make some headway. All right, Mayhem, you've done it again. I'm going to be at Rodney's in New York doing stand-up. Dr. Drew's going to do stand-up for the first time in his career. Some tickets left for that. Yeah,
where? I got to go. I got to see this.
We'll film it. Cat Tim's going to be there. We're doing a live pod, and then we're doing a stand-up show, and Cat's going to do stand-up as well. Soul Joel's after that. Pottstown doing some stand-up there. And you can go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. Mayhem, you got anywhere to be?
Yeah, man, I'm on the YouTube Mayhem show.
Go to the YouTube Mayhem show. Chef Gruel as well, American Gravy. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Chef Gruel Mayhem. Say it. Mahalo. Oh, man, that's the new leader in the clubhouse, everybody. So, Rudy's got his news fired up here.
Yeah, let's do it. Late night comedian Jon Stewart blasted right and left wing leaning news hosts in the narcissistic media ecosystem for politicizing recent mass shootings by rushing to blame the other side. Who the fuck cares? Stewart exclaimed Monday during The Daily Show. These mass shootings do not fit neatly into our left-right paradigm. During his fiery monologue, Stewart slammed cable news pundits for trying to pin the violence on one another after a deadly spurt of 6 mass shootings in just a 24-hour span over the weekend.
Yeah, okay. So if you ever hear the left go, this is a left-right problem, it means it's mostly left, because if it's left-right, they just go, it's all right. So that's the way they argue everything. Sure. So if they ever go, everybody's responsible, that means they're mostly responsible. It's sort of, anyone's argued with a woman, it's always your fault. But if they ever get to the point where they go, look, both of us have some blame. Okay, bitch, you did everything now. You're when you say both of us have some, like, it's like, let me tell you the left and the right. If you come out to your Maverick, your Ford Maverick, and the side of it's dinged in, and you come out and you go, hey, Adam, I parked my car in your parking lot, and you kind of pushed in the side, and I can see it's got your car's paint on it, and I can see your car has the bumper scuffed up in the same spot, so could you pay me for the repair? Could you pay me to fix the car? And I go, oh, yeah, I didn't do that. No, it's not me. but I'll pay for half. If it's not you, then you go fuck off. I don't know who we were talking about. I wasn't driving today. But if you go, I'll pay for half, it means you did the whole. And so when you hear Stewart or anyone on the left go, there's equal blame to go around, that always means it's 90% fucking them. Here's the deal. Nobody formally shot at ICE facilities. Then you started calling ICE Nazis, and now people shoot at ICE facilities. And you can go, there's enough blame to go around, but that's you calling ICE Nazis. That's how that works. So, sorry. Enough blame to go around, people.
After the week of when Charlie Kirk happened, my mom was first to get on the phone with me and go, well, you know, both sides. It's all both sides. I was
if you ever hear progressive people go both sides, and look, again, think of the same as your woman go, look, we both made mistakes. Okay, that's them.
My girlfriend does that too when we go on the road. The hotel will be trashed, and she'll be like, well, we both have stuff laying everywhere. I was like, do we? Because somebody's shit is all over the bathroom, and mine is tuckling. It's in my own luggage. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anytime somebody tries to include you on the mess, that means the mess is 85% their mess. It's a roommate, you know. So when I bought this warehouse 23 years ago, and many of my loser valley buddies immediately seized on a place to stash their junker project shit. And this entire place was basically filled up with Donnie and his cousin's old junker cars. It was filled. And it was on, and his Mustang was on my hoist, and I never got to use my hoist. He put it on the hoist. He lifted it up like 3 feet. He took it apart, and it just sat on my hoist. And after like 2 years, I said, hey, Donnie, do you think you could get your car off my hoist so I could use my hoist? And by the way, I can't get around in my own warehouse because it's filled with your shit and your cousin's shit. And he goes, you got your car back here. I had a Lamborghini that had
warehouse. How dare you?
I had a Lamborghini with the bumpers taken off of it. And he goes, you got your car back here all taken apart. Okay. By the way, that's been my adult life, arguing with people about stuff. Yeah, in my warehouse amongst all your shit. So whenever someone tries to include you, it's always all their shit. And the left calls the right Nazis, and then at some point, a young person acts out. The old people, as I've explained, the Nancy Pelosi's, Chuck Schumer, all these people, they don't think anyone's a Nazi. They know what they're talking about. They just say it. Hillary Clinton, first off, what does Hillary Clinton think? She cooked up the Steele dossier and invented Russian collusion. So she called Tulsi Gabbard, Katspov, Putin, and Russia. Does she think that? And the answer is no. She doesn't think any of it. But a 19-year-old kid who's on Prozac and playing too many first shooter video games might believe her. That's where we're at. So shut the fuck up.
Even the stuff talk about I saw a clip with your favorite Leslie Jones, and she was complaining about
wash your ass.
She was complaining about Jillian Michaels. This happened on the Daily Show the other night. She was talking about Jillian Michaels, and she was like, how does this bitch who told me how to get abs in 60 days, how is she like the foremost voice on, slavery? And I was like, well, who the fuck are you? Who are you to talk about this stuff?
Well, she's the 128th funniest person from SNL, Rudy. If in fact,
obviously, yes. There's only been 127 on SNL, though. So
yes. So anyway, good times.
All right, so YouTube to pay $24.5 million to settle Trump's lawsuit over the 2021 account suspension. Oh, Ace Man, you got your dancing shoes out? Okay, because YouTube has agreed to pay it, and with that money, Trump is going to take it and put it toward the construction of the new White House ballroom. Trump sued the Alphabet-owned video sharing platform in July of 2021, alleging that YouTube unlawfully silenced conservative viewpoints after the company suspended his account in the wake of January 6th. The Trust for the National Mall, the nonprofit group raising private donations to build the $200 million ballroom on the White House grounds, it will be paid $22 million by the tech company as part of the settlement.
Now, someone should put a ballroom clock versus Gavin Newsom's bullet train clock, because I'll guarantee that ballroom is going to be done in 9 months, and that fucking bullet train will never be done. And it's not because of the difference between a ballroom and a bullet train. It's because of the difference between Trump and Newsom.
Yeah.
Newsom's he's a process guy, wants to talk about it, but it'll never happen.
Yeah, and I lived in Minneapolis when the 35W bridge fell, and that was like such a big deal. And one of the things that they did is they really said, "Hey, we got to get some private companies in here because that is a major artery into the city, and we need to get this built." I mean, it was literally like within 18 months they had that bridge up and running again. I was just in Baltimore doing shows, and a friend of mine who lives there, we were talking about the bridge that fell there, and he was like, "Dude, they're cooking on this thing because they got to get it done." So there's no government red tape.
The sad part, and maybe Andrew can find you the clip of Temescal Canyon that'll be in the upcoming vlog. Because I got a big doozy of a vlog coming your way, kids. But the part that makes it sad is sort of like when you see somebody and then you realize, oh, they can do shit they need to do, but they're just shit with your stuff. You know what I mean? And and everyone's got a little element of that. But the sad part is, like, here we had like MacArthur Park or whatever. It's like junkies and needles and hobos and fentanyl and stuff. And like at some point, Karen Bass is like, we can't, these are unhoused neighbors and we can't. And at some point, someone goes, clean this fucking shit up. Like the Olympics are coming to town. And 2 days later, the place looks brand new.
Oh, yeah. San Francisco, for sure. Yeah.
Right. They just go, pow. Like it's clean now. And you see it all the time. If they want to do it, they do it, or they just talk about a bullet train for 300 years, which it pisses me off more. It's like, if you have a partner or you have an employee or something and they're totally fucking incompetent all the time, but at some point it has to do with them going online and buying tickets to Fish, who's in town, and then they book an Airbnb and they book the flights. It's like, oh, you're good at this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's because you want to go to see a concert. You're not good with my travel shit, right? You fuck up all the time. I'll show you Temescal Canyon, a kind of before and after, and we'll put it up at adamcarolla.com. And Temescal Canyon, now I took a tour of this with Colonel Saucer, and it was set up to be a corridor of work and ingenuity. They had pulverizers, concrete pulverizers. Everything was set up. And I went back a month later, and it was pristine and new. All right, pause it there.
Whoa.
When I went there, it was covered with dirt. The asphalt was beat to shit because it's not made for that much heavy machinery. They had whole recycling centers, like mobile units, like set up. Stuff with conveyor belts on it.
Wow.
Dump trucks backing up. Pulverizers busting up the concrete. Loading the loaders. And the other day, I don't drive up and down Temescal Canyon. I use another canyon. But the other day, the Waze just said, take Temescal instead of Sunset or whatever it was. And I found myself turning down Temescal Canyon, looking around. Grass grown, asphalt down, freshly painted, brand new. No holes in the ground where they had to anchor stuff down. There is no trace that this place was completely set up. It essentially looked like one of those roads in Gaza after a good Israeli bombing, like just rubble everywhere, trucks everywhere, dirty, dusty mess. Up, it's brand new. They pulled up and left 3 months ago. Boom, brand new. Doable.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Or not.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Actually painted, and you couldn't even tell they were there. And my point is, we're capable of doing this. This is what we can do if we set our mind to it. Now, Karen Bass isn't going to get this done, and Gavin Newsom's not going to get it done, but we can get this done. Temescal Canyon was Damnation Alley. It was more rebar, more scrap, more busted up concrete, more building materials, tractors and hose and cherry pickers and huge pieces of equipment, by the way, conveyor belts and concrete pulverizers and everything, major heavy equipment, all the way up and down this canyon with semi-trucks lined up at the top and pulverizers and metal extractors in the middle and guys with heliarcs and acetylene cutting rigs. And we went from that to pristine, brand new. You could have a kid soapbox derby. So if the Army Corps of Engineers gets on something, they'll get on it. And then we will too if we need it. Like that after the 94 earthquake, a big section of the 10 freeway fell down. And they're like, oh, we got to fix this.
Yeah.
Or there's the bullet train.
Well, there's also, they really need to incentivize some of these companies. I think when Minneapolis redid like the entire 35W corridor, this is after the bridge had fallen and kind of down by like around the airport at the crosstown, they basically told the company that was doing it, hey, you guys show up early. For every week you are early, you get X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And that thing was, they basically had the thing done like within like three and a half months in front of schedule.
You can look it up, Andrew or Dawson, but the big chunk of the 10 freeway that was damaged in the 94 earthquake, they said to that contractor something to the effect of, we'll give you $1 million for every week or month you come in under time. And he was like, fucking done and done. And he had his crews working Sunday at midnight, you know. But that shit got open 3 months earlier. That guy pocketed $3 million. By the way, that's how life works, Democrats. You can't just telling people to do the right thing. Doesn't work. They need incentives, good and bad, stocks and bonds.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's your company name right
stocks,
there. And bonds.
Stocks or bonds.
Yeah.
30 years. So you can check that story out. I don't think that's the 10 freeway, but maybe it is the 10 freeway. I don't know. But they did it lickety split. And I remember living here during the time going, they incentivized those crews. And by the way, the guy who owns the construction outfit, he doesn't go, look, I'm going to put an extra $1 million in my pocket for every month we come in under calendar time, so I'm going to need all you assholes to work for free.
Yeah.
He goes, we're going to be working Sundays, you're going to be making double time, and we're going to get this shit done.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can figure out that story. I don't need pictures of it. I just need, I understand what it is. I'm asking for the story of it. All right.
You know, when they're doing this ballroom, wouldn't it be just a power move for Trump to just hang a couple of like Saddam chandeliers in there from, you know what I mean, from back in the day?
Stuff he stole from the palace.
Yeah, how awesome would that be?
Well, speaking of trolling, I mean, him and these Hakeem Jeffries videos and him and Chuck Schumer vids they're the best. I don't know why. The Chuck Schumer one made me laugh my ass off. And the other, and this is all you can do, by the way. I've told everyone this. I remember where I was when Tucker Carlson was interviewing me 10 years ago, and he said, when does it end? And I go, you have to make fun of them.
Yeah.
So when they call you a racist, you don't go, oh, no, I have black friends. You go, fuck you, and you laugh.
Yeah.
All right, so they did this. It's great. Let's just listen to AI Chuck Schumer.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Right. So it's awesome. And then Hakeem Jeffries goes on MSNBC and he starts complaining about how racist it is. And then they fucking hit him with the sombrero and the mustache in this one, which is, but by the way, it's all you can do to assholes who call you racist. You have to lean into it. So now I'll play this.
video, and we're going to continue to make clear, bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault.
Trump is the band.
Trump's the band. It's awesome. It's awesome. And you can go, this is undignified or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure. But you call everyone racist and Nazi and you can fuck right off.
Yeah.
All you do is call people racist and homophobic and Nazis. So fuck off.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that'll work. And that's the new administration. They go talk to the hand with everything. Because if somebody's accusing you of something you're not, there is no end game for them. So if your woman or your daughter is saying like, hey, Rudy, you've gotten 3 speeding tickets in as many months, then you can go, okay, I'm going to try to be a little more careful behind the wheel. You know what I mean? But if she just says you're a speeder and a reckless driver and you don't have any of that, why should she stop? Mm-hmm. The whole point is she can't stop. You never got the tickets in the first place. She's going to keep calling you that. If she says, hey, you've been a reckless driver and you got to be more careful, and you go, okay, I will, and 2 years goes by and you don't get a moving violation, then she'll go, well, I guess you've corrected that behavior. But if they're just laying shit on you all the time that doesn't exist, then no, they're never going to stop. They're making up the shit in the first place. Yeah. They don't think you're a reckless driver. They're just trying to fucking sling a little mud. So you might as well just tell them to fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of the new administration and the way that they handle things, you're going to love this story. War Secretary Pete Hegseth said Tuesday, announcing that dudes with dresses were not welcome in U.S. combat forces, and the rest must meet male-level fitness standards to face life-and-death situations. If women and weak men, he said, don't make the grade, so be it. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, and frankly, any formations, and see fat troops. It's a bad look, and it's not who we are.
Yes. Get it together. Tough shit. Tough love.
Yeah.
It's diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Family and education. Back to basics, everybody.
Yeah.
Whatever your fucking shit is, it never worked. It can't work. It's not going to work. Being more inclusive. Whether you are changing a scale, like if you're saying, look, you got to be able to do 10 pull-ups in order to be in the Marines, and then you go, well, some of the fat dudes can't do it. Shifting to 3 pull-ups is not a cure for this, and neither's women can't do it. It's just 10 pull-ups. That's it. It's like your doctor. You go to the doctor, you get on the scale. Your fucking doctor will tell you, if he hasn't been pussy whipped by the state of California, hey, you could lose a few pounds. Okay. Do we do this, or do we get a new scale and we'll just adjust it so it makes it seem like you're a waif model?
Yeah.
Because that's not going to stop your obesity issue.
Yeah.
So God fucking love Pete Hegseth.
I would love it.
And I love that he pisses everyone off.
Oh, yeah. I just want him to be like, we are Semper Fi, not Thunder Thighs. Like, that's what we do. Like, I just want him to have sayings, like no fat chick bumper stickers on the tank, stuff like that, to really drive it home.
Well, the fucking amount of money these guys waste on all this fucking diversity bullshit and LGBT, it's a fucking military. I want every penny going into fucking bullets and tanks.
Yeah.
The 110 freeway in Los Angeles, it's the busiest in the nation. Anyway, after the earthquake, was rebuilt in 74 days, which was a record time, and earned a contractor a huge bonus, $200,000 bonus each day. They finished the 110 Santa Monica repairs ahead of the deadline, earning the guy a total of $14.5 million. That's all I'm saying.
Jesus.
It's basically LA paid double because he finished fast.
Yeah, but here's my whole point. If I said, Dawson, don't you clear out this warehouse? I'll give you a month. I was like, fine. But if he said, then I'll give you $1,000. But if he said, if you can do it in 2 weeks, I'll give you $10,000. He'd fucking be here Sunday night. Absolutely. If you came here Sunday, Dawson be clearing this fucking shit out, and so would I. That's how everyone works.
Yeah.
Everyone. And that's why your socialism doesn't work, because people work the other way. And socialism is, Dawson, I'll pay you regardless of how well you clean out this warehouse, and you can do it on your own timeline or not at all. Don't worry, that check's coming. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Try the $10,000 experiment. I do it with everyone. I told you, Donnie had all his shit back here. He had a Ford Bronco that was a roller husk, fucking in this corridor back here. It's like it was just taking up space. I couldn't get my car in and out, whatever. And I remember saying, I go, look, let's get that thing out of here. Put it in the parking lot. Put a cover on it. It's first off, it's a junker, ruster piece of shit, but it's in the way. I can't get my cars in and out. He goes, okay. And then I do what I do. I go, I'm not going to tell you when to get this out. You tell me. You tell me, what's it going to take to get your car out of here and in the parking lot? And he goes, 2 weeks. And I go, okay, I won't bring it up again. By the way, I always talk to Dr. Drew about this. I would say, Drew, if people talk to me in a sing-songy, condescending, shitty way, like, Adam, what's it going to take for you to understand? I would kill myself.
Yeah.
I would kill myself. I talk to almost everybody like, listen to me. Okay, you tell me how long? And they go, here he goes, 2 weeks. I go, okay, I will not bring it up. If it hasn't been touched in 13 days, I'm not going to come in here and remind you. This is done. It's 2 weeks. What day is it? We know the date. We're done. We're done. Not going to bring it up again.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 weeks came and went. Thing didn't get touched. And then I said, Donnie, what's the thing? Yeah, I didn't do it. And so I remember saying to him, I go, what if I said you got 2 weeks and $10,000? And he goes, yeah, I would have gone on there. And I went, okay. By the way, now okay. So what we're talking about is something called dignity and having character.
Yeah.
But you're saying you don't have any because you want $10,000 to do a thing you should have done for free. But okay, I now see how human beings work. It's a $10,000 rule. Everyone would admit to you, yeah, I would have done it anyway.
Yeah. I tried to throw a story my daughter's way. We had a situation where I was asking her to do something and she wouldn't do it. And then I brought up the story. When you and I first started working together, we were on the road. We were in, I believe it was Napa, Northern California. And I left the bottle of whiskey open. I left the cap off the whiskey. And you gave me some shit about it. And we had just started working together, and I'm like, I don't want to lose this gig. This is fun. From that day, I have never not put the cap back on the whiskey. And I brought it up to my daughter, and after I explained it, I'm like, I wanted that job. I wanted to keep working with Adam. So guess who has never not put the whiskey top back on the whiskey? And she goes, I don't drink. And I'm like, you missed the point of the whole goddamn conversation.
That's my world.
Yeah.
All right, we got another one?
Yeah. Fast and Furious actor Tyrese Gibson faces arrest warrant after dogs allegedly kill neighbor's pet. The actor's lawyer said he is fully cooperating with authorities and has rehomed his dogs, while authorities say Gibson hasn't turned himself in. Tyrese Gibson has a warrant out for his arrest after his dogs allegedly killed another dog earlier this month when they got loose in his Georgia neighborhood. This happened a few weeks ago. I don't know if you've seen any of this, but since then, they put out a warrant for his arrest, and he made a post saying he's taking like a mental health month. And it's just like hitting the road, and they're like, hey, dum-dum, we got a couple of cops waiting to talk to you. And he just says, I need some time, and just splits town.
I think he's nuts.
Yeah.
Kind of a head case.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily in a horrible way, but eccentric, I think, which we don't label black people eccentric enough. It's a white guy's move, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Black people fall through the cracks. White guys are eccentric, but he's eccentric. And also, you assholes with your dogs, it's like, if someone is telling you your dog is getting out and running around the neighborhood and like terrorizing, fix that shit.
Yeah.
Would you fix it immediately? I had a guy down the street that had a crazy dingo fucking wolf dog, and it was just, they just kind of left it out. And you'd see like old folk riding a bike, going by, the dog's fucking chasing an old lady down the street. Then some other person is just walking down the street, and the dog's literally terrorizing, including myself, in the neighborhood. And it's like, put your fucking dog away or fix the fence or do whatever. Like, I don't know how fucking irresponsible you can be knowing that you have this vicious dog that you just let I say terrorized the neighborhood. Like you couldn't, you walk down your driveway, you wouldn't go right. You'd have to go left because you couldn't go by their house because Moon, the fucking dingo dog, might be out there.
Speaking of, if you guys got a photo of this, you can look it up. If you've ever seen one, he owns 4 Cane Corso dogs. You've ever seen a Cane Corso?
No.
They look like prison inmates. They're the most muscular, badass-looking, pit bull-looking dogs ever. The 4 of these dogs chewed up a King Charles Cavalier, like Cocker Spaniel, very tiny, and just left it in the driveway.
Yeah.
And this poor guy's got to come home, pull into the driveway after a long day at work and see his poor dog.
Yeah, and also, it's not letting your dogs roam the streets in this day and age of everything on one aisle and Home Depot is pretty fucking preventable.
Yeah.
I don't know why. When I was young, there were houses that had a fence around them and then ones that didn't. And the ones that didn't, there's nothing you could do. Yeah. Like, I'd be like, could we get a dog? No. Why? We don't have a... What do I do?
Yeah.
There's no fence.
And sorry.
And I'd be like... We can't argue with no fence. And people can just wander into our yard. Yeah. Why? We don't have a fence.
Yeah.
You think we're a fence family? I never really did the math on. We're about a day away from having a fucking fence if we wanted a fence, right? Like we could do a fence. The notion, first off, the notion that anyone would open the phone book and look under fence contractors or something, that was off the table. It's like, no, it's like maybe your grandpa could come over here and put something up that resembled a fence. And I'm like, well, I certainly couldn't order a fence or have a fence.
Yeah, I'll give you a cheaper fix. Just get that leash that goes on the clothesline and let's let them run back and forth. Or is that even too much of an ask?
You just get that auger bit thing that goes into the ground and just fucking tie them up. Yeah, my parents didn't want a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't want kids either, I don't think. Everything was a hassle to them. The dog was a... By the way, if you're a kid and you're begging for a dog and your family's thing is like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Understand you're a lot of work to them and you ain't getting what you need. Because if the dog is a lot of work, the kid's more work and you're going to get less.
Yeah.
But no, we never... My grandpa tried to rebuild the porch once and he bought used lumber, which I didn't. Now there's, I guess it's a rich man, poor man thing, like
refurbished.
But he bought used lumber from a pier that caught on fire, and it was literally bent and propellered, water-soaked boards that were charred. Some of them are charred, but like good enough. And it was the most inconsistent, termite-riddled piece of fucking. You couldn't walk on it at night. You would kick something and fall over because they were all uneven and everything.
Sure.
That's what the Carollas did. And by the way, that shit porch that my grandfather built with used lumber was the biggest construction project of all the Carollas to this date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see where you stand on this. So I was in Portland, Oregon. We did some shows. The next day, I went out, camped by myself on a river just south of Eugene. There were some good hiking trails. I got up early, like 6:30 in the morning, went out camping. I went out hiking by myself, way out in the woods, walked about 3 miles back up the side of this mountain, got back to this waterfall, this cool little creek. It's about like 7:30 a.m. I'm watching the sun come up. I start walking out of the woods. I'm by myself.
Hold on. If you had a coffee, this is perfect time for double hand
hands.
mug.
Oh,
as the sun is coming up. You do so much for others. This moment's for you.
You totally neglect your family. They can kiss your ass.
Can't spring for fucking fence. Yeah, that where you're picturing is double hand coffee commercial mug scene.
Yeah.
So I'm picturing it.
So I'm walking out of the forest. It's 7:30 in the morning. I'm out there by myself. All I got is a knife and bear mace with me. I'm walking down the trail. I turn a corner and all of a sudden there is a wolf standing in front of me.
Wow.
And I immediately scream and I do the thing they tell you to do, get big, yell. And I just start going, hey, bang, and I'm reaching for the bear mace, and then from behind what I think is this wolf, I hear a guy go, no, 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 no. Turns out it was a Siberian Husky German Shepherd mix.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks exactly like a wolf. It's in the woods by itself. I don't see anybody around. This guy comes running up and he goes, oh my gosh, my heart is pounding. I thought I was going to fight this wolf.
Sure.
And he's like, I'm so sorry, man.
You're like Liam Neeson on a oil rig.
Yeah.
Or whatever that movie was. The Gray.
The Gray, that's right, yes.
Which is a good movie, except for, ironically, Liam Neeson's hair has no gray in it. And he plays a 63-year-old grizzled leatherneck who lives in Alaska, but his hair looks like Casey Kasem.
Perfect.
And it's like, come on, Liam. That's the wrong hair for this. That's the wrong hair for this character. But go ahead.
Add that salt and pepper. No, so I'm like, my heart is pounding, and the guy goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I bring my dog out here because I hate having him on a leash. I want him to be able to run. He stays close to me, but I bring him it was literally like 13 miles out of town. And he's like, I just want him to run. And he goes, I'm really sorry. I should have had him on a leash. And I was like, no. I think you're doing the right move, my man. Like, you didn't know it. You come out here early because you expect nobody to be out here. You don't want your dog to be you don't want him leashed up or in the house all the time. I think you did the right move. And he was very, cordial. I actually got a picture with the dog. I put it on my Instagram. You can see the shit in my pants. I was like, it was the most scared I've ever been.
So this was Tyrese?
This is Tyrese.
By the way, every woman I tell stories to, this is what this is where it ends up. Tyrese was in the woods?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a Cocker Spaniel.
Hold on, I'm looking at something on my phone. Wait a second. You want to talk about feast to famine, the serenity of the double hand mug coffee, serenity to the abject terror of wolf attacked in the jungle. I mean, that is...
Oh, yeah.
Man.
It was literally, I was sitting back, I was watching this waterfall and thinking to myself, I'm so grateful for all of the things in my life. I can't believe I've gotten to this point. I'm 45 years old. What an amazing life I get to lead. Oh my God, I have to fight. I have to go Liam Neeson style.
Liam Neeson with a wolf.
I got to go Revenant and fight this this giant, massive wolf. His name was Kevin and he had a collar on, but nonetheless, I got to fight him to the death.
I take unpopular stances in life, but I stand by them. And The Revenant, am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
The Revenant, it was very clear in that movie, and they do this a lot weirdly. They weirdly do this in movies where they make sort of my point or they shift the point. It's, 1841. It's pre-penicillin. Leonardo gets ragdolled by a grizzly. God knows, in this day and age, it'd be 7,000 stitches, and he'd need a new liver, and he'd be on dialysis, and he'd be airlifted. He gets completely destroyed by this grizzly bear, and then he's laying there, and he's going to get sepsis and die in 2 days, right? It's fucking snowing. We're out of provisions, and we're on foot walking back to camp, and we need 3 days of walking. You want me to drag this guy's fat ass? We're all going to die. By the way, so yeah, leave him to die because he's going to die in the next 2 days or the next 2 minutes. I don't know. He's been destroyed. We don't have Bactine or gauze or anything, but you know what? I'll check with him. I'll see what he wants. And then I'll go down and I'll go, you are so fucked up that you cannot speak or form a sentence, but blink your eye if it's okay for me to leave. Because remember, there's 15 of us and we're all going to die. We're all going to die trying to save you, who's not going to live. I mean, at this point in the movie, you've been completely destroyed by a grizzly bear. You're going to bleed out in the next 12 hours for sure. But blink. If you say it's okay to leave you behind or put a bullet in your head, just blink. And then he blinks. And then I go to the rest of the campers. Okay, he blinked. Now we get to put a bullet in his head. And they're like, you're the worst person in the world for being insanely pragmatic about all of us fucking dying in the snowdrift, trying to drag this fucking guy back to camp who's essentially grizzly bait at this point because he's bleeding out of every orifice. And then the rest of the movie's like, that guy wanted to kill him. It's like, no, that guy said, you're going to kill us all. is it okay for us to leave you for dead? And if so, blink. And then he blinked.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that on the other guy?
Yeah, no kidding. I agree. Yeah. Wait, Tyrese was in this movie?
I argue with people about fucking stupid movie stuff. I'm going, listen, whoever wrote this movie, you made the pragmatic guy who's trying to save the rest of the campers into the bad guy.
Yeah. He's doing his job. He's looking out for his troop. Sorry.
Well, if there was a leader and there was a troop, and let's just say a morbidly obese guy was fallen by a grizzly, you'd be like, we can try to drag his fat ass over that ravine and across the mountain and look for the fort, but it's probably going to kill us all.
Yeah, if Pete Hegseth had his way, we wouldn't even have a fat camper. That's
right. Pete had his way. Right. So it's a weird message. And I've argued with people, like, I think Bald Brian, I said, no, he blinked. And he didn't blink. He didn't blink. He does. You watch the thing. Leonardo DiCaprio gives him the kill me blink.
Yeah.
Why does that make Tom Hardy bad?
Yeah. I wonder if it was one of those things where they did the take and then they went back and they watched it and they were like, oh shit, every take we have is him blinking. He's not supposed to blink. Well, it's almost like when you brought up the Cobra, he pulls the shirt down and you can see
the movie Cobra.
Yeah, you can see the microphone taped onto his chest. And they were like, well, we got no other take, so we got to use that one.
Yeah, because Sly improvised the shirt ripping of the Vato.
Yeah.
See if you can find that reverend.
My uncle unironically loves Cobra. Doesn't watch it and go, okay, I know that this is schlocky and I know it's stupid. He loves every last second of that movie and talks about it with so much.
Where's he live?
Northern Minnesota.
Because the next time I'm in northern Minnesota, we're having a beer with your uncle.
I'm telling you.
And we're going to watch Cobra.
Hours and hours. It's one of his favorite movies ever. That and Predator, which is also great.
I love any movie where they're like, look, there's a gang going after this woman. Are going to try to kill her. She's not safe in the police station. We got to send her to a remote cabin with one guy. I would have went, I feel pretty safe in this police station about, no, remote cabin with just one guy. One dude.
Yep. And I love it when the gang gets together. Like, these are grown men who all get together and stand in a circle inside of a factory and they clang knives together.
Yeah, in an empty swimming pool.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Empty swimming. Yeah. I don't understand. Like, I can't even get my friends together for a fantasy football draft, let alone get together and do some marauding and killing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't understand who these people in their 40s that are hanging out with other dudes. And
well, my favorite part about that is that satanic cult had like 150 people in it. But for some reason, Sly's commanding officer was convinced it was a lone wolf.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, you got your cockamamie theory, Cobra, about more than one. Well, I'm not buying it. You got no proof. And Sly's like, never says anything. He goes, earlier today, I was driving through Long Beach and there were 8 cars chasing me, all with shotguns firing at me. So I'm going to dispel the lone wolf theory unless there was just some guys who just sort of jumped in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, I got a shotgun. What's this guy up to? I don't know.
Yep. These guys dress like the ex-presidents, and then Tyrese is also with them at the same time.
Jesus Christ. Now we're in Point Break. So I would like to sit down and discuss that movie with your uncle.
Oh, you guys would love it. I would love to sit and watch it. We could just do a podcast of that, just watching you two talk about Cobra.
I also love any factory that's been mothballed for 17 years where you just walk in and flip one switch and flames start coming out of it. There's a hallway that just has flames sticking out of it, which seems like a liability because like the break rooms at the end of the hallway, like what is going on in this factory that there's just flames that shoot out of walls?
Yeah,
you know?
It's almost like Super Mario, the level where like there's the flames and the things are coming at you. Yeah.
All right. Do we? Let's see. Oh, Chris Rufo's on. Oh, okay. Sorry. Do we have the blink? Do we have the blink? And then we'll talk to Chris.
I can muzzle you if you like. Take away the suffering real quick and easy. Whenever it has to know that you give up, I do that. Just blink if you want me to do that. Save your boy and blink. You just have to blink. Yeah, there it is. We best hope that the good Lord get his ass here quick.
All right. So I'll fucking put you out of your misery, but blink. Or I won't, but don't blink. Why does that make Tom Hardy the bad guy? He's the only pragmatist in that group. It's like, this guy's 200 pounds. We're all going to die dragging him over the fucking hill. All right, that's enough. I feel like that's my whole life. Explain. That guy's a bad guy. He didn't. He's pragmatic.